Britain's going to be one of the first countries in the world to get hold of this once-a-day fat loss pill. It's meant to be early next year. Currently, more than 1.5 million people in the UK inject themselves every week with weight loss drugs. But the tablet, of course, is easier to manufacture, easier to store and easier to transport than jabs. So it's very likely to be cheaper to buy than the injectable versions of the drugs, which do have to be kept in the fridge, for example. So do you think you would take a fat loss pill if you could get hold of one? Is it great news for tackling obesity? What do you think, Carrie?
I think it's amazing. We know that, yes, over 1.5 million people are taking it in the UK, but 3.4 million people need it. And the NHS is saying it will take 12 years to roll that out. So the idea of a fat loss pill, I think, is fantastic.
I tell you what we'll do. We'll bring in Dr. Philippa Kay because she'll fill us in on everything we need to know about this new weight loss pill. It's made by the same manufacturers as the weight loss jab, Mounjaro. Hello, Dr. Philippa. Thanks for joining us. Does this sound like great news?
Well, firstly, I have to say, I was an imp in brownies. We were yellow, just like talking about today. So, this new medication is not available yet. It's called orforglipron or orforglipron, and we are hoping that it will be available at some point in 2026, but it is not available yet. Here's the slight difference between it and Mounjaro. The obvious one, Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, they are all injections that you give yourself once a week into the skin. Mounjaro, on average, people lose up to about 20% of their body weight. Every 5% you lose, there is a huge cardiovascular benefit to. This medication, the evidence shows that it gives, on average, a 10% body weight loss, with about 2/5 of people losing up to 15%. So it's slightly less effective than Mounjaro is in terms of weight loss. But huge advantages: no needles, no injections, easier to make, easier to transport. For people who are needle phobic, it will be much better. And in all likelihood, it will probably be cheaper to make as well, simply for the fact that it's easier to make a pill than those pens with the needles that have to twist on and the clicking device and all of that. So in itself, that is likely to be cheaper and easier to make. So it's not here yet, but it could be hugely beneficial.
All right, let's have the conversation that everyone always wants to have about this, which is, they always say, you can tell me if they're correct or not, no one really knows what the long-term effects of these weight loss jabs and then in their turn the weight loss pills will be. So that we've got that at one side and at the other side. But isn't it a huge advantage to your personal health every time you get slimmer and slimmer, especially if you've been very heavily overweight and obese in the first place? So does one balance out the other?
Well, first of all, we have been using GLP-1 agonists for a couple of decades in terms of diabetes treatment. So it's not that these are medicines that we know nothing about and we have no evidence for. So we have been using them for quite a long period of time in order to be able to assess their safety. But what this really comes down to is a shift, which is really difficult for people to get behind when they have been brought up in an environment essentially of weight stigma and shame around weight. And if you ever think even something as simple as how is a bully portrayed in a book or in a film, they're always going to be the person who is obese. And all these messages are really sort of really deep inside your psyche, that if you are overweight, if you have obesity, that it's because you are lazy and less in some way. And actually the shift needs to be that obesity is a chronic disease, which the majority of which is genetic. And once we make that shift as a society, actually, it's far easier to accept the fact that a medication might be needed in the same way that a medication is needed if you have low thyroid or if you have high blood pressure or whatever it may be. And that's what we need to do. Yes, you might need to be on them forever, but if you have whatever health condition, you might need to be on a treatment forever, but not everybody will need to if it is done properly with dietary and exercise advice, that you can lose the weight and then hopefully keep it off in the future. I think that right now obesity is having a huge effect, not just on the population, but on the NHS. And these medications will be a life changer, not just for the person, but also potentially for the wider NHS.
And I haven't talked to you about this, Cheryl, but I certainly just read the part of your book where you say when you were playing Heather, food was a comfort to you in real life, and then it got all sort of incorporated into the script of EastEnders.
Yeah, I think food is a comfort for people. You eat when you're happy, you eat when you're sad, and it's one of those things. It's a crutch on both things, you know. But in terms of things like a pill, for example, I think that would be easier to take. I take mounjaro, but I lost quite a bit, and then I plateaued, and I thought, oh, it's not doing much more, and so keep going. But then I had the stroke, so exercise kind of goes out the window. I mean, I think the thing is, it's each to their own of what to do, but it's putting pressure on a lot of people to do this. For health-wise, I'm diabetic, so for health-wise, yes. If you want to look good too, yes. But on a lighter note, Vanessa, I would like...
Go on.
Can I say it?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, let's have a lighter note.
I would say all those larger people who want to go thinner, keep taking the jabs or the pills, because the larger lady parts can be mine.
Here.
I would say character larger lady parts, and Mira and Margolis would probably agree with me, are mine. So please carry on jabbing away. That's what I say. Jab away.
Love Cheryl. Right, Malcolm's on the line in Kent. Malcolm, you don't approve, it seems.
No, I don't actually. I'm in Brighton, Vanessa. I'm in sunny Brighton.
Lovely.
I wouldn't take any of the pills or the jabs. I personally think that we should eat properly, better food. These McDonald's and all this other stuff isn't good for you, and we are what we eat. And if you go to America, you see people. I mean, I'm 71 now, and a lot of my friends say I look 45. What's my secret? I eat properly, I do lots of walking, I do my exercises and things. Because when you get to, I'm 71 now, when you get to my age, you can put on the weight so quickly, and the muscle you had when you're in your 20s, 30s can go flabby, or you lose it. So you've got to keep going. Your body's like a machine. You've got to keep going. And also, it's your mind as well. You've got to keep your mind going, and that keeps your body, because your brain is like a computer and it controls everything. Does that make sense?
You've got the whole thing sussed, obviously, but do you feel for people who haven't? They've tried dieting, they've tried fasting, they've tried joining the gym, they just didn't somehow manage to get off the sofa and go to the gym. I know I certainly did that. I just wonder whether you can kind of expand your compassion to encompass people who haven't really succeeded in the way that you obviously have.
I've got plenty of compassion. My sister-in-law's very overweight. When she had her 2 children, she put on a lot of weight on, and because she used to eat, with the kids and stuff. And now she's starting to realise that it's not good for her. And I've got plenty of compassion. I live in Brighton, and I go past Brighton quite a lot. And you see people, not one ice cream, but 2 double these ice creams with wafer things in, like chocolate.
I'm horrified, but it sounds absolutely delicious. From where I'm sitting, Malcolm, in this hot studio, 2 ice creams, 1 in each hand. Sounds like my day of absolute heaven. Heaven. Let's go to Michelle in London. Hi, Michelle. What about you?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I was just going to share with you that when I was younger, I had a very enjoyable career, which involved a lot of corporate entertaining and meeting clients and eating out in some very, very nice places. And unfortunately, the environment allowed me to put on lots and lots and lots of weight. I got to the point where I literally ran out of clothes, and I decided to look at the opportunity of a diet clinic, which I found, and successfully, I don't know the weight that I lost, but I do know that I went from a size 22 in my clothes size, and I went down to a size 10 in a matter of 8 months.
Right. Did you manage to keep it off, though, Michelle?
Yes, I have, yes.
Amazing. Wow.
Yes, I did, yeah. I mean, it was just about the fact that when you lose that amount of weight, your energy becomes more engaged, and you become more physical, and you realise the downfalls of eating too much food, particularly dining out as much.
And I was just going to ask you, what was this fabulously glamorous job you were doing where you're having all these delicious dinners and lunches and everything? What were you doing?
I I worked for a very big American corporate company in the middle of London.
Wow.
And my job was to entertain and look after clients that came from America
Great
to London.
job. We're very entertaining. We could do that job, couldn't we? I feel like I could do that job.
Anybody got an application for
Yeah,
it?
how do we get that job? It sounds fantastic. Michelle, marvellous call. Thank you so much. Let's go to Kathleen in Hertfordshire. What do you think, Kathleen, about this? You've got concerns, I think.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello
Hi.
Vanessa and everyone on the panel. Thank you so much. Yeah, so my first port of call is, why do they call it a fat pill?
Really good point.
Well, they don't. We're just calling it. They call it whatever that name was that Dr. Philippa gave us.
I mean, I think that's so detrimental. First of all, they call it a fat pill, so that's such a negative.
Calling it that. It's got a name. It's got a brand name. Let's get Dr. Philippa to tell us the name again. What is it called again, Dr. Philippa?
Awful something.
What's it called?
Oh my goodness, I've put my post-it notes away. Hold on one second.
It does sound like awful something, but it isn't, is it?
Glypron.
What? Say it again?
It's called awful glypron or awful glipron.
Awful glypron. Not
They need a better name.
Awful.
Awful glypron.
So it's not really called a fat pill. But what are you worried about, Kathleen, about it?
Okay, so what I'm concerned about it is, we're not actually. I understand that there are people that are medically cannot lose weight. I understand that. I'm a nutritionist, literally trying to get there, and so I understand about how it is so difficult to lose weight and change your lifestyle with your food and your diet and everything's available to you. And, people overeat for so many reasons, medically, mental health,
Absolutely.
Just their circumstances, not being able to get out and buy the right food, not being available to them, people going to food banks and just getting, not getting fresh food. And also what I really am concerned about is people are not teaching our children from such a young age just to eat properly.